Greetings, everybody. Namaskar, Hare Krishna. Well, here we are again, continuing with Srimad Bhagavatam, 10th canto, or Skanda, if you prefer. And we're now proceeding on from last time, having the death of Kamsa, the arch fiend, and Krishna's releasing of his parents, Vasudeva and Devaki, and how they seeing Vasudeva and Devaki seeing Krishna and Balaram and having witnessed their prowess were filled with awe and reverence and did not come forth to embrace them but stood with their palms folded together. So on that very note, the next chapter begins. So before I start reading, I'll say a quick Mangala Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha. I should say more. Vandeham Sri Guru Sri Yuta Patakamalam Sri Gurun Vaishnavangscha Sri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Sri Vishakam Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudirayet Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 10, Chapter 45. Sri Shuka said, observing how his parents at that time were awestruck by his majesty divine, and considering that now this should not be, he cast the spell of Maya potency, by which his own devotees are beguiled to look upon him as a mortal child. He then toward his parents forward pressed, with his elder of Sattvatas the best, and bowing low, respectful and sincere, he said, O dear mother, O father dear, on our account you were to grief inured, and much anxiety and stress endured. Our infancy, boyhood, and budding youth have passed away in forced absence, forsooth. Irrevocable fate would not permit for us to dwell with you or by you sit, as children with their parents wont to joy at home and pampered luxury enjoy. The body wherewith true welfare is gained is born to parents and by them maintained, and none there is or has been able yet in 100 years to pay the debt. That son who is capable and in health, but fails to provide from abundant wealth, and succors not his parents with his pelf, he is in hell, compelled to eat himself. A man who ancient parents abandons, a pious wife, and young innocent sons, who disregards the meek and suppliant, the elders, vipras, and the indigent, and though capable, fails to succor these, must be considered dead, although he breathes. We too were helpless in our infancy, and due to fear of Kamsa's tyranny, we were unable reverence to pay to you and have wasted many a day. Indeed, we were not independent thus. O father, O mother, please forgive us. We have not served you with filial care. The wicked one was cause of such despair. Sri Shuka said, Hari, who did thus a human form take, though soul of all the universe, bespake, enchanted in their laps they hold him tight, beside themselves with excess of delight. They sprinkled him with tears that from joy spring, bound by the cords of affection, O King. Their throats were choked, their minds with bliss were stirred, and overwhelmed could not utter a word. And thus, consoling his dear parents, he, the illustrious son of Devaki, then Ugrasena, his grandsire, did bring, and had him installed as the Yadu's king, and said, O dread sovereign, what is thy will? Command us, thy subjects, we shall fulfill. The curse of old Yayati we must own, that no Yadu may sit upon the throne. When I, thy servant, thy commands obey, the gods themselves will solemn tribute pay, with due meekness and lowered diadem. What then of other proud rulers of men? In other words, the curse won't apply. He then arranged for the resettlement of emigres and those in banishment, the Yadus, Vrishnis, Andakas who fled, Madhus, Dasarthas, Kukuras were led, and all the clans by Kamsa's reign appalled from the adjacent regions were recalled, their palaces and homes reoccupied, and were with means of livelihood supplied. Thus he, the maker of the world divine, did valuable gifts to each assign. Now, in Krishna and Sankarsana's arms, they were protected from further alarms. They joyed at home and all pleasures achieved, and Rama and Krishna their grief relieved. Each day with love they revelled in the grace to look upon Mukunda's lotus face, whose comely, gracious expression beguiles with constant, kind glances and tender smiles. There, even the old of many a year, with strength and youthful vigour did appear, since their eyes with Mukunda's face were filled, they quaffed the lotus nectar there distilled. Now the almighty son of Devaki and Sankarsana came with courtesy toward Nanda, O king, most exalted, and with embraces fond unto him said, O father, both you and our mother dear, with fond affection did both of us rear. The love by parents to their offspring shown exceeds considerations of their own. He is the father, she the mother styled, who nourish and maintain another's child, whose relatives have forsaken all care, unable to protect them and to rear. Dear father, and all of ye cowherd men, go to the cowherd settlement again. We wish to give joy to our friends who yearn for us, but we shall soon to you return. Thus, comforting Nanda with his kind word, the illustrious Achyuta conferred fine gifts of raiment, ornament and gem, vessels, and thus honored the cowherd men. And when Nanda had heard all that he said, he embraced them with love disquieted, and while he did so, tears flow from his eyes. Then with the cowherds he to Vraja hies. Now Sura's son, Vasudeva, O king, his sons to the priest and the Brahmins bring, who with due rites the boys initiate, and raise them to the noble twice-born state. He gave to the Brahmins of holy vows gold, ornamented and garlanded cows, along with their calves, with raiment supplied, and thus the holy Brahmins satisfied. The Great One gave those cows in charity for Krishna and Rama's nativity, since he was under durance at that time when wicked Kamsa had seized all his kind. Invested thus into the twice-born state, the brothers twain vows holy consecrate. From Garga they received the Gayatri, and the vow observed of celibacy. Although they were the source of sapience, world rulers, endued with omniscience, self-accomplished, pure, immaculate, yet human disposition imitate. Their wisdom they concealed and made their way to the school of a preceptor to stay. Desirous to learn and dwell they came to the teacher Sandipani by name, who was a native of ancient Kashi, now resident in Avanti city. The brothers twain, sincere and self-subdued, the teacher served with humble attitude, and showed by their conduct exemplary to love the teacher as the deity. That twice-born preceptor was satisfied, and by their love and service gratified. The Vedas and Upanishads imparts, and 6 corollaries in all their parts. He taught them texts on how the bow to draw, the martial arts, virtue, and codes of law, the methods of didactical debate, and the 6 codes for kings ruling the state. Though they were the expounders and the source of learning, to learning they had recourse, and hearing each subject but once described, those foremost men of all those subjects imbibed. The 64 arts to them he conveys, they learn in 64 nights and days. On graduation, they make offering of the due fee and payment, mighty king. That learned one of twice-born men, the best, observed the great wonder and was impressed. He thought that such capacity of mind exceeded the limits of humankind. And in consultation with his good wife, he chose the restoration of the life of their young son who was swept out to sea, and this the boon he would choose as his fee. with so be it, upon a car they ride to Prabhasa Tirtha by the seaside. Upon the mighty car their way they press, whose power and puissance is limitless. When they did thus the mighty ocean reach, they sat them down a while upon the beach. Then old Oceanus came to salute, acknowledged them with worship and tribute. The illustrious one then said to him, "Let my preceptor's son be presented. The child was swept off by your mighty wave, but we demand the boy, his life to save." The ocean said, "It was not I, Krishna, I truly say, O Deus, that took the infant away, but the Daitya, Panchajana by name, who in a conch hides in the briny main. 'Twas him who stole the child away indeed." Which heard, the Lord did thereupon proceed, and did within the waters slay and tear the conch demon, but saw not the boy there. Now lifting up the shell that round him grew, he mounted on his car and did pursue. his way to his dear Yama's city, famed and as the divine Samyamani named. Footnote there. He took the shell, and according to the Vishnu Purana, as he took it, it shrank down to the size of his hand. Janardana, arriving there at last, blew on his new-found conch a mighty blast, and with Halayudha, who wields the mace, they arrived at the god Yama's own place. Then Yama, to whom the subjects are bound, heard the reverberation of that sound, came forth with adoration them to greet, with supplication and reverence meet, and bowing to Krishna with lowered head, to he who dwells in all creatures, he said, "Now, in your human sport, great Vishnu, tell me what I can do for both of you." The illustrious one said, "The son of my teacher was hither brought by reason of his own past action wrought. O great monarch, my commandment obey, and bring the boy hither without delay." With "So be it, and let thy will be done," Yama then brought forth the preceptor's son. Then the two Yadu princes returned soon, gave the boy, and said, "Choose another boon." The preceptor said, "My dear boys, you are both learned and skilled, and have my cherished desire fulfilled. A teacher who such worthy pupils gains, what further desire with him remains? Worthy heroes, to thine own home repair, and may fame and fortune attend thee there. May recollection of the Veda text remain with you in this life and the next." Thus, taking leave from their preceptor, they, mounted on their mighty car, sped away, swift as the wind, raising of dust a shroud, back to the city, rumbling like a cloud. The citizens were joyed and vivified when Rama and Janardana arrived, for many days without their sight remained, now felt like those who have lost wealth regained. Thus ends chapter 45. Now, chapter 46, and there is an argument. And the argument is, to Sri Vrindavan, Uddhava is sent, arrives at Nanda's cowherd settlement. Discoursing on Krishna, they pass the night. Uddhava praises Nanda with delight. How cowherd damsels at the dawn arise and glorify the Lord of lotus eyes. The sun arising spreads genial beams. These are of chapter 46, the themes. Sri Shuka said, "The chief minister of the Vrishni clan, Brihaspati's pupil, a worthy man, in all affairs most wise to comprehend, was Uddhava, Krishna's beloved friend. Once, Hari, who removes grief and sorrow for those who seek refuge in him and bow, his friend's pure devotion could understand, and seized within his hands Uddhava's hand. Knowing him singularly devoted, the one illustrious unto him said." So Krishna says, "Hie thee to Braja, O Uddhava dear, my sorrowing parents revive and cheer. The cowherd damsels' grief you must assuage by conveying to them this, my message. They have dedicated for my dear sake mind, breath, and their bodies' needs forsake. They know me as their own beloved one. To me, their lover, their minds and souls run. Whoever gives up worldly convention for my sake, I grant them my protection. O dear one, since I did from them remove, in absence of the object of their love, Gokula's damsels in perplexity are oppressed by pain and anxiety. These cowherd dames, extremely dear to me, cling on to life with great difficulty, and thus they suffer severance and burn, because I promised I would soon return. Sri Shuka said, thus being addressed, Uddhava, O king, the message of his master thence did bring, mounting upon his car, he forward went to Nanda's distant cowherd settlement. The fortunate one arrived in the town of Nanda's Braja as the sun went down, and dust from tramping herds had made a screen, wherefore he passed into the town unseen. The cows in season caused the bulls to fight, and bellow loud and exercise their might, while other cows who burdened udders bear seek out their calves with assiduous care. The snow-white calves here and there skipped and bound, adorning with beauty the region round. The whirling sound of churning did ascend, which with the winding of bamboo flutes would blend. The cowherd dames, attired in bright weeds, sang of Bala and Krishna's hallowed deeds. And all the cowherd men, by love inspired, were all neatly adorned and well attired. In honor of fire, sun, guests, and cows, the gods, manes, and vipras of firm vows, the cowherds' homes, commodious and bright, with wreaths, incense, and lamps were full of light. Thus delightsome was all the forest round, where flower-frequenting humming bees resound. The ruddy geese and waterfowl respond with cooing as they glide the lotus pond. As soon as he arrived at Nanda's home, the latter hastened forth with warm welcome, Krishna's adherent dear, honored with grace, and seemed him Vasudeva to embrace. When he embraced Uddhava, he thought it felt like he was embracing Krishna. Then, having been received with courtesies, fed with rare dainties and seated at ease, rubbing his feet as he lay on the bed, the blessed Nanda to Uddhava said, Nanda says, O most fortunate one, do deign to tell, is Sura's son, my dear friend, faring well? That means Vasudeva. I trust that he in peace and comfort lives with his own children, friends, and relatives. How fortunate that Kamsa with his kin have met with death by reason of their sin. And he who brought the pious Yadu's pain with all his accomplices have been slain. Doth Krishna entertain the memory of his mother, and myself, and family? Doth he recall his friends and comrades dear, the cowherds and the forest pastures here? Doth he recall the cows and Vrindavan? Doth he remember still Mount Govardhan? Will Krishna ever come this way again to see us? Then we may occasion gain to look upon his handsome, smiling face, if he returns but once here to this place. He saved us from raging forest fire, the wind, the rain, the bull, the serpent dire, and deadly adversity was o'ercome by Krishna, the great illustrious one. Recalling Krishna's deeds, our mind beguiles, attended with his glances and his smiles, his charming laughter and his speech. Dear one, slacken our faculties and senses stun. The streams, the hills, the forests, and the vines bear of Mukunda's feet the sacred signs. And who the places of his sports doth see becomes absorbed in self-identity. When I deliberate and weigh the odds, it seems Krishna and Rama are chief gods, who for the purpose of the gods display their exploits, as Garga was wont to say. Kamsa, strong as a mighty elephant, was slain, the champions to death was sent, the Tusker chief they slaughtered as in play, as the Lion King disposes of his prey. He broke the mighty bow of 3 spans length, and like an elephant displayed his strength. Nay more, for 7 days he took his stand and held up the great mountain with one hand. They killed colossal Daityas in the fight that had put gods and even demons to fright. Pralamba, Denuka, Arishta too, and Baka with others. These they slew. Sri Shuka said, thus recalling again and yet again, Nanda was immersed in exquisite pain. His mind engrossed in Krishna fervently and silent, fell into anxiety. When Yashoda of the exploits had heard of her son was with fond affection stirred. She felt the pangs of a dear mother's woe, tears from her eyes, milk from her breast did flow. Observing how their love was manifest, he deemed, that is Uddhava, Nanda and Yashoda most blessed, and how by love they were disquieted. Thus Uddhava to Nanda joyful said, Sri Uddhava said, ye are both worthy of highest renown among all beings, since you make your own Narayana, the universal Lord, and this I deem the supremest reward. Rama and Mukunda are both the seed and repository whence all proceed. They are primal nature and nature's lord, and enter in all beings with accord. These two are both the primal ancient one, creator, controlling the creation. Whoso, when life and body separate, and even for a moment meditate, and even though their minds may be impure, release from action's bondage they secure. Then freed from every blemish and disdain, a sun-like form of Brahman they attain. But ye both have the supreme self achieved, and the grace of Narayana received, who is the final cause of existence, born as a mortal under some pretense. Great love for him is engendered in you. O great ones, what remains for you to do? Quite soon will come the infallible Lord to Braja and satisfaction afford. The Almighty One, whom Sattvatas revere, will greet with honor his fond parents here. Having slain vile Kamsa and laid him low, who was to all the Sattvatas the foe, Krishna, the truth of his word to maintain, will certainly come back to you again. Therefore, O blessed ones, do not lament. You shall see Krishna when he is present. He dwells in all hearts, be it understood, as fire remains latent within wood. There are none to him more agreeable. No one to him is disagreeable. He does not apprehend the high or low, but always doth to others honour show. He has no mother, father, wife, nor son. He is not related to anyone. No one to him is stranger or a friend. He has no body, nor birth, and no end. He has no obligation to fulfill, nor is he born in species good or ill. But to secure safety to holy ones, he manifests playful incarnations. Sattva, Rajas, Tamas, the gunas three, he transcends as supreme divinity, assuming these as instrumental cause. In play, the birthless creates and withdraws. For one spinning upon the steady ground, it seemeth that the world is whirling round. Even so, by the ego sense confined, he thinks himself the agent but in mind. Illustrious Hari is not your son, but he is the father of everyone. Indeed, he is father, mother, and soul, the supreme ruler of this mighty whole. There is nothing that can be heard or seen that shall be, and what is, and what shall have been, nor the great, nor the small, nor immobile, and no entity among the mobile. Aside from Achyuta, no thing subsists, the supreme self, in whom all this exists. Sri Shuka said, as Nanda and Krishna's friend, in delight, passed by in conversation the whole night, the cowherd damsels rose at early morn and lighted lamps their matins to perform their morning rites. They cleansed the house and then set to churning the tasty curds and cream, O my dear king. Those damsels with glistering gems shone bright, labouring with the ropes in the lamplight. And while they pulled and slackened with their arms, their bangles make a tinkling sound that charms. Flowing raiment their sturdy thighs bedeck, their bosoms swayed with garlands round the neck. Pendant earrings diffusive lustre show upon their cheeks, reflective of the glow. Their faces were with vermilion drawn, and gleamed with radiance as of the dawn. When Vraja's damsels churn the cream and curd, a wonderful and lovely sound is heard, as they sing of the Lord of lotus eyes. The strains ascending touch the vaulted skies, and blend in symphony harmonious, which drives away all inauspiciousness. When Surya, illustrious, rose on high, to Vraja's gate the eager people hie. They saw the golden car, and in a throng they made question, to whom does it belong? Perchance Akrura has come back again, who on Kamsa's behest to Vraja came from the great Madhu city on a day, and took the lotus-eyed Krishna away. His master's obsequies to accomplish, he means perhaps to offer up our flesh. Thus while they spoke, Uddhava arrived there, having dispatched his daily rites with care. I'll say instruction 46, 47. Should read this one, at least. It's quite long. Now, chapter 47 of book 10 of the Srimad Bhagavatam, the argument. Uddhava, the foremost of devotees, responds to the earnest inquiries. He is astonished to witness and see one of those damsels talking to a bee. He then conveys to them Krishna's message, which doth their grief of severance assuage. He praises their fortune and love profound in verses that their glory resound. Then back to their city with gifts repairs. All this chapter 47 declares. Sri Shuka said, Vraja's damsels in curiosity foregathered to see Krishna's devotee. They saw him handsome with long stately arms and eyes that show fresh lotus petals charms, attired in yellow robes and garlanded with lotuses that sweet fragrances shed. His countenance was like a lotus bright, reflective of his polished earrings' light. With vast astonishment they were beguiled, and questioning each other brightly smiled. Who is this handsome nobleman we see? Whence is he? And whose attendant is he? Lo, he is dressed in a tutor's raiment, his decoration and embellishment. Thus they, and in a throng, came forth to greet the one who had attained the lotus feet of Uttama Shloka, the worthy Lord, who is with finest poetry adored. With pure bashful glances and modesty, they pleased him with their smiles and pleasantry. They brought a seat, and when seated at ease, they questioned him and made inquiries. In private, they urged him his speech address, sent by the Lord of Brahma, great goddess. The cowherd damsels said, having arrived here, we know you to be the associate of Yadupati, that you have been commissioned to come here to comfort his fond parents with good cheer. Indeed, elsewise there is nothing at all in the cow pastures for him to recall. But strong are the bonds of filial ties, and hard to break even for sages wise. Otherwise, people friendship but maintain, so long as there is some mutual gain. As lover, when fulfilled, his lady flees, emptied flowers are deserted by the bees. As even, or ravished flowers are deserted by the bees, as even the well-adorned courtesan abandons a good although penniless man, subject to king and competent forswear, no more graduates for their teacher care. When the priest his desired fee receives, he bids farewell and the kind donor leaves. The birds forsake the trees of fruit devoid, the guest after he has his meal enjoyed. The beasts forsake a forest scorched by fire. A damsel is forsworn, though she desire. The cowherd dames their feelings thus confide, in word and deed and mind, identified in Govinda, and Uddhava surround Krishna's envoy by fond attachment bound. They put aside all modesty and shame, and weeping sang of their beloved's fame, absorbed in recollection and love's pang of his boyhood and adolescence, sang. One of them saw a straying honeybee, and took it for Krishna's envoy to be. In her deep absorption disquieted, in wild fantasy, to the bee she said, "O honeysuckle, friend of the great chief, avaunt, Do not touch with your moustache my feet, besmeared with the red kumkum powder fine, when Madhu's lord did in his arms entwine his beloved, and in embrace he pressed, and crushed the garland draped across her breast. Let him in Yadu's palace sue for grace. His envoy shall be taunted in this place. He enchantment upon us once bestowed, of flower nectar from his lips that flowed, but forsook us to pine in anxious care, as you yourself ravished flowers forswear. Why does the lotus goddess serve his feet, renowned for false flattery and a cheat? She must have had her mind stolen away by this deception his praises convey. Why sing of Yadu's lord with praise replete? Oh, 6-footed one, why old tales repeat? We are without a shelter to defend. Be gone from here and praise Vijaya's friend, surrounded by a train of damsels fair, and his beloved will reward you there. Since she no longer is by heat oppressed, and soothed his burning passion in her breast, who is the damsel on earth or in heaven, who abides in the nether region, whom he cannot with his deceptive smile and arching brow win over and beguile? Goddess Fortuna doth herself entreat his grace, and worships the dust off his feet with all dedication and pious care. But how can we with the goddess compare? And yet we can recount his hallowed fame, who bears of Uttama Shloka the name. O bee, remove your head from off my feet. You are a clever flatterer and cheat, which art from Mukunda you did receive, and come here as messenger to deceive. Since we did husbands and children forsake, and all the world only for his dear sake, now he, ungrateful, left us here beguiled. Wherefore should we be with him reconciled? Like a cruel hunter from a hidden spot, unrighteously the monkey chief he shot. Subdued by one damsel's fond attachment, another suffered sore disfigurement. He seized Bali's offering like a crow, then, ungrateful, sent him to realms below. All ties of friendship with him of dark hue let us abjure and no longer pursue, yet to speak of him and his deeds declare we can never abandon or forswear. Whoever accounts of his exploits hears, imbibes sweetest nectar into the ears, and tasting but a drop of ecstasy, no longer sees worldly duality. And ruined thus, they forsake hearth and home, subsist on alms, and in the forest roam, like birds who frequent the bower and wood, in wretchedness must make their livelihood. As the hunter with sweet music deceives, the black buck's consort deadly wound receives, we took as truth his sweet words as he smiled, and we were captivated and beguiled. Even so Cupid with torment assails, when he would scratch us with his fingernails. Therefore, faithful messenger and envoy, on other topics now your speech employ. At this point, the bee disappears. And then the bee comes back. What? Oh, dear friend, you've come back again. Has my beloved sent you to explain? I honour you and reverence convey. What is it that you have come here to say? O gentle one, how would you take us there, when he is seated by his consort fair, who always keeps her in his arms compressed, and she always reclines upon his chest. Alas, O gentle one, O woe betide! In Madhu's city Nanda's son doth bide. Doth he recall his father's household here? Doth he recall the cowherds, his friends dear? Doth he recall his maidservants, and thus sometime find occasion to talk of us? When will he place his hand upon our head, which doth with fragrance of Aguru shed, the fragrance of Aguru shed? Sri Shuka said. Now, Uddhava, when hearing all this, knew their eager longing for Krishna to view. He gave them assurances and consoled, and their beloved's message to them told. Uddhava said, Sri Uddhava said, O wondrous, ye have reaped the full reward, supreme perfection, by the world adored, since ye have dedicated and consigned to Almighty Vasudeva your mind. By vows and sacrifice and charity, by chanting, study and austerity, and other good deeds piously maintained, the love for Lord Krishna can be attained. But ye have an exalted state achieved. In the exclusive love ye have conceived for Uttama Shlokam, and have made plain perfection that sages can hardly gain. It is the greatest fortune, I declare, that lords, sons, body, and home ye forswear, and have chosen the supreme male adored, called Krishna, and have taken him for Lord. Ye have attained, wholehearted and complete, Adhokshaja's favour, with love replete. By showing me your love's perplexity, O blessed ones, you have shown grace to me. Now hearken to his message and envoy, a love letter dispatched to bring you joy. O blessed ones, I shall the same declare, who am his confidential minister. The illustrious one hath said, this is Krishna's message, O dear ones, we can never be apart. I am the self in every creature's heart. As sky, air, fire, water, earth beside, subsist in their evolutes and abide. So mind, senses, and breath I permeate. I am of the attributes the substrate. Within myself I create and sustain. Within myself I withdraw all again. Within my Maya power all exist. I am the self in whom all gunas subsist. The self is full of consciousness refined, distinct, and by the gunas unconfined. But the self deluded of faculties with sleep, dream, and waking identifies. Just as the man awakening is seen to undergo sublation of his dream, therefore the vigilant with mind and soul should practice self-restraint and self-control. This is the consummation of the wise, of study, yoga, austerities, renunciation, truth, and charity, as rivers disembogue into the sea. Far distant now I from your sight remain, that you may deep contemplation attain, and thus attract your mind exclusively and augment your fond affection for me. When a damsel's beloved is away, she thinks on him intently every way, so more than when her beloved is nigh and present before her observing eye. Now you have invested your mind in me, and from the diverse faculties are free. Constant recollection of me maintain, and soon I will be with you once again. Those damsels who could not egress contrive, nor at the night rasa dancing arrive, those blessed ones contemplation maintain, enamoured of my deeds, and me attained. Sri Shuka said, Braja's damsels, when the message had heard, were consoled, and with admiration stood. Their beloved's counsel put them at ease, then spoke to Uddhava in words like these. It is fortunate that Kamsa has been slain with all his kin who gave the Yadu's pain. 'Tis fortunate, fulfilled, Achyuta lives, surrounded now by his fond relatives. O gentle one, does Gada's elder know his love for the fair city women show? That love was meant for us, but with their wiles, with bashful glances and generous smiles, he has become the city women's lord, and is now by their fond glances adored. How now? In fine arts of amorous play, the city women over him hold sway. With their gestures and talks of love profound, he must be by their fond affection bound. Does Govinda recall, O pious one? Do we come up in his conversation? Does he with the city damsels discuss the subject of mere village girls like us? Does he recall those pleasant moonlit nights in Vrindavan with us, in vast delights, where lilies and jasmine, jessamine sweets convey, the moon shed his cool and balmy ray, where in the rasa dancing, circling round, the chiming of ankle bells did resound, and as we did the deep forest traverse, we sang his praises in exquisite verse. Will Dasara ever come here again, to us tormented with sorrow and pain? Will he revive us and misery end with his touch, as when Indra's rains descend? But wherefore should Krishna come here again, who has attained kingdom and his foes slain? There he with friends affectionate abides, surrounded by a throng of princess brides. But for the great one, husband of goddess Sri, what are mere rustic damsels such as we, who could serve his purpose, or who is self-willed, complete and perfect in himself fulfilled? Indeed, happiness is hopes to forsake, as once Pingala the courtesan spake. Albeit of this truth we are aware, fond hopes for Krishna we cannot forswear. Who could from sweet conversation refrain with Uttama Shloka of wordy fame? Though he care not, the goddess Sri still cleaves, and always clings to him and never leaves. When Krishna and Sankarsana were here, they tended herds of kine, O master dear. They played upon their flutes and wandered round the rivers and the hills and pasture ground. All these awaken deep recollection of the cowherd chief Nanda's darling son, his footprints marking the ground here and there will not let us forget him or forswear. Oh, how can we forget his charming ways, his smiling glance that playful art displays, his honeyed speech, expressive of love's wiles, subdued our hearts, attended with his smiles. O Lord of Rama, goddess fair, O Braja's Lord, remover of despair, O dear Govinda, uplift from the brink of sorrow in which Gokula doth sink. Sri Suka said, thus hearing of Krishna's secret message, Their fever of severance did assuage. They honoured Uddhava with worship due, whom as a Hokshaja himself they knew. There for a few more months he did remain, and dispelled all the cowherd damsel's pain, and songs of Krishna's exploits did recite, and filled all Gokula with pure delight. So long as Uddhava was resident in Nanda Gopa's cowherd settlement, for the cowherds it seemed a moment's time, absorbed in accounts of Krishna sublime. He saw the rivers, forests, hills and vales, flowers, at which Hari's servant regales. In the cowherd's inspired memory, reminding them of Krishna constantly. Thus Uddhava was fortunate to see the cowherd damsel's fond anxiety. He made for them of praise an offering, and with respect Uddhava began to sing. Among all living beings incarnate, these cowherd dames have gained the supreme state, the highest ecstasy that can be gained. In Govinda, the all-soul have attained the transcendental object of desire, to which the fearful in this world aspire, which sages and ourselves would fain acquire. Sans talks on Ananta, what is the worth of noble pedigree or Brahmin birth? Where are these dames that roam the forest round, of loose morals, and where such love profound for Krishna in such sentiment extreme, who is the divine Lord and soul supreme? Certes, for one who worships constantly, the Lord shows grace, though ignorant he be, as medicine to the patient bestows, a cure, though of its virtue little knows. Nor Shri, his consort, who dwells on his chest, nor lotus-scented nymphs of heaven blessed. And what of others? How may they compare in their fortunes with the attainment rare, while these in festive rasa dancing they were by his serpentine arms embraced. These lovesome damsels of Braja have won perfection and the rarest benison. They have forsaken home and family, transgressed the principles of chastity, which is attended with hardship and pain, the shelter of Mukunda's feet to gain, which the scriptures themselves, whom others teach, still find the object far beyond their reach. Let me be born a bush, a vine, or shrub, that me with their dusty feet they may rub. Indeed, he is adored by Goddess Sri. Birthless Brahma worships his dignity. The masters of yoga power refined can only contemplate him in the mind. But Lord Krishna, his lotus feet did press upon their breasts, assuaging hot distress. I bow in the dust of the holy feet of Braja's damsels, and for grace entreat, by whom Hari is in song is glorified, and the three worlds are cleansed and purified. Sri Shukra says, now, from the cowherd damsels he took his leave. Did Nanda and Yasoda's grace receive, and as the cowherds did farewell convey, Dasarha clomb his car to ride away. But as he was thence about to depart, the cowherds brought in hand gifts to impart. Nanda with affection, as tears broke, then with his other cowherds to him spoke. May our mental faculties be consigned, and unto Krishna's lotus feet resigned. May our bodies to him prostrate remain, and may our words express his holy name. Though in this world inured to wander still, whatever as the Almighty doth will, may worship, gifts, our holy sacrament, fond attachment for Lord Krishna augment. Thus, having honored him, the cowherds there, O king, their love for Krishna did declare. Again to Mathura, Uddhava hied, where Krishna was the guardian and guide. There, at Krishna's feet, he prostration made, the cowherd's messages and love conveyed. To Rama and to Vasudeva did bring gifts and fine presentations for the king. And thus ends chapter 47 in book 10 of the great and glorious Bhagavat Purana, the text beloved, swan-like saints, sung by the son of Vyasa. And maybe we should leave it there.
Wow.
Mathura?
Are you going
Great.
to stop there?
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Okay, amazing, amazing. Okay, I'll stop the recording.